Hello and welcome back to my little fashion corner. I'm absolutely no one to talk about haute couture, and yet here we are talking about haute couture. Haute couture, but also Fendi. When the news broke that Grazia Chiuri is going to be replacing Silvia Venturini Fendi in Fendi, which actually first it was announced that Silvia Venturini Fendi is going to be retiring from the position of a creative director whilst also maintaining her somewhat of a advisory role in Fendi. There was a short period of time where I was hopeful for no good reason really, but I had hope, and that's exactly how they get you, because it was then announced that Maria Grazia Chiuri is going to join Fendi. And if you have ever heard me talk about Maria Grazia Chiuri or Dior in the past couple of years, not Kim Jones's Dior, you would hear me repeat the word boring quite a bit. Yes, there is the argument that she put a lot of placement on craftsmanship and introducing old craftsmanship practices and old craftsmanship techniques from different countries. I would argue that those are almost always to decorate the set where everything was presented, not the actual clothes. We'll fast forward to, well, now, when we have seen a ready-to-wear collection from her and also an haute couture collection from her. I didn't want to make it sound like it was all Silvia Venturini Fendi designing haute couture. I realized that Kim Jones was there for a very long time and was collaborating with her on haute couture pieces, but he left prior to Silvia Venturini Fendi. And now that Sylvia left, that's where that was coming from. And also, I was already upset that showing of ready-to-wear and now also on top of it. So it was a combination of feelings. So hopefully that mishmash made it into the message that I want color in fashion or something like that. And I was kind of pretending that I'm not watching, and I was like, again, who am I to comment on it? I did read from British Vogue, I don't know if it was a full-on article or just an excerpt. I did read what I would classify as praises on Maria Grazia Chiuri's haute couture presentation. Let's talk about it, because no one asked. Here's Pash Linda talking about what makes an haute couture fashion house. Haute couture is oftentimes used as a catch-all phrase for like grand tailoring, massive skirts or red carpet-like looks, but it's actually a lot simpler and more capitalist, if I may. The Federation stems out of medieval guilds that were set up meant to regulate styles and fight against counterfeits. In my personal opinion, it was just, early stage capitalism, and it was a pay-to-play system. After 1945, the rules for haute couture got a lot stricter. So what are the rules to be considered an haute couture house? Step 1. You have to be invited. There's no way around it. Every year, Fédération de la Haute Couture de la Mode makes a list, goes through it whether to still consider them haute couture, and perhaps even decides to invite new houses that may or may not accept. Like Hermès in 2026. Were they invited earlier? Probably. Did they just accept their invite? I don't know. If anyone from the family wants to reach out and tell me, I'd be more than interested. Back to the rules. First one, it has to be made to order, and there have to be 2 or more fittings. Rule number 2, you have to have an atelier in Paris, and you have to employ more than 15 people full-time there. Rule number 3, in at least one workshop, you have to have more than 20 technical people, so tailors, seamstresses, gender-neutral people who know how to sew, full-time. I don't think it necessarily has to be the Paris atelier, but it has to be in at least one of them. And last but not least, you have to present 2 collections a year. January is spring-summer, July is autumn-winter. The showing has to include at least 50 designs, and they have to be for day wear and evening wear alike. And there you have it. Those are the rules to be considered an haute couture house. Yes, it is unique designs, unique fabrics, lots of craftsmanship, but the rules to be considered an haute couture house are a lot more about the federation rather than the designers. And now that we know what rules we have to follow, because we love rules, watching the haute couture show felt really bizarre. It felt like watching a really boring ready-to-wear collection. And yes, I understand that haute couture doesn't always have to be about the grandiosity of designs, but it's meant to be a laboratory or showcasing the capabilities and different fabrics and plays and what can be combined. And you can just sort of expect a lot, which is exactly what I was doing. My fancy notes. 2110, I wonder whatever that means. Anyway, it was presented in the National Modern Art Gallery in Rome. The second time that Fendi was presenting anything in there. I think the first time it was something with Karl Lagerfeld, but it was a very long time ago. again, first world problem. When I was watching it, I had to endure watching the arrival of guests, which was something that Dior were doing, like a half an hour or 20 minutes before the show, you would watch the red carpet, which I haven't really seen in the previous showings of Fendi, but it might be that I do not remember whether I caught the live shows or whether I just did the rewatch, and the rewatch would just be the showing of the haute couture. I don't know, but bugs me. Anyway, it really felt like it lacked something, and I realized that it really lacked two things. It lacked color, but that is Maria Grazia Chiuri's artistic choice. She opted for almost a monochrome palette and was kind of boring. I know I am going to be repeating that word quite a bit, but it really felt to me like boring. Not only I felt like the designs were not fitted properly, but who am I to judge? Which again could have been the choice. And the second, it really lacked sparkle. In Fendi's previous showings, you would have seen a lot of sparkle. It could have been different fabrics, embellishment, playing with sequins, lots of different, like velvet, velour that also shines when you shine light on it. So that type of sparkle was missing. You know, the color, I could sort of live with it. So she has decided not to go for color for any type of color. But what was really missing is the accessories. And this could be, and I don't know whether I'm reading into this because obviously I'm not privy to any communication between the house of Fendi and Maria Grazia Chiuri, the family of Fendi and Maria Grazia Chiuri. But in previous showings, you would have seen a lot of sparkle. Beautiful earrings, lots of diamonds, necklaces. I really, really remember this half glove or something with lots of like Swarovski crystals dangling. And it was really missing that. It was really just beige. It was like, it felt like we're doing a showing for New York City influencers going to Pilates or something like that. And I wonder, and here's my completely unnecessary tinfoil hat theory that no one asked for, the jewelry director and provider for the shows, that is one Delfina de la Tresse, who is the daughter of Silvia Venturini Fendi and an amazing jeweler. She established her own house in 2007, 2008. She's been doing amazing work ever since. I've always liked the accessories of Fendi, but especially in the haute couture showing, having the beautiful, very significant earrings. Like, have I mentioned it lacked sparkle? So not having any of that jewelry in there. And if you don't remember, Maria Grazia Chiuri started as an accessories designer. So I wonder whether she wanted to take an oversight of all of it. I wonder whether there is some sort of bad blood, something is happening. Delfina is maybe leaving the house of Fendi as her family. I don't know. Ultimately, I am really upset that I conned myself into watching the shows because I knew that it's going to be boring and now I can't get the time back. Secondly, it lacked color, and I feel like at least a little bit of color would be really nice because it's fashion, it's art. I would really appreciate if fashion brought us some joy and not just holy price tags. And third, it lacks sparkle. And I feel like that was really, really deeply ingrained in the house of Fendi, the sparkle, the shine. It just went hand in hand with the clothes, especially when it came to haute couture. This was just meant to be a super short update on... I know I'm usually the first one to say that with the new designer coming into the house, we have to give them a little bit of a leeway because they're coming with their own ideas. And that is true. And when the announcement, the change, or the coming of Maria Grazia Chiuri over to Fendi from Dior was announced, I thought, yeah, that's going to be boring. And I only feel like I should have seen this coming and I should have known better. And I'm not really certain whether this is going to get any better because I haven't seen lots of color or lots of joy in her designs lately. And I'm not necessarily certain that's going to go into Fendi as well, which breaks my heart because the last showing of Silvia Venturini Fendi's ready-to-wear was absolutely unbelievable. There was so much color. There was so much color and there was so much sparkle. The clothes were so colorful and so beautiful, but also in the bags, the peekaboos and the baguettes. They've got so much color and sequins and craftsmanship in those designs. Like everything was so well thought out. And I am just heartbroken that now I am looking at a collection of beiges, grays and blacks. And it just, maybe I'm just getting really, really annoyed with everything. I have noticed that I just don't like anything anymore. But yeah, in case you were dying to hear my thoughts on Fendi's haute couture, here they are. I guess we're really not about the house of Fendi over here, hey? Well, I appreciate you hearing me out and putting up with me, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.